Hey people, I am back. Hey people, I am back. Hope you're doing alright. Hope you're feeling well. Hey people, I am back. Alright. What's up, people? I am back. Alright. So today we're going to talk about the multi-step inequalities part 2. I got a little extra something to add in there, okay? Got a little something to add in there, so while we're going to be doing some of these things, got some things to review, been looking at some of your work, got some things we need to review and all that stuff, so let's get down to it, alright? This song here is from one of my favorite movies growing up. If you know this tune, you can send me the name of it later. Alright, I'll play a little more of it for you know at the end. Okie dokie. Alright, as we continue to move along here, I just got a few things I want to review with you, so we'll start out with the review stuff, okay? So start here. One thing I've seen and I want to review is make sure, okay, put the variable on the left. It is so much easier to graph if you put your variable on the left, okay? So let's say, you know, when you work it down, maybe get this answer, negative 7 is less than x. All right, I want you to take that, okay? If you get there and that's what you've got, I want you to swing that around. Again, it's pointing towards, of course, negative 7 is less than x. So just swing it around and write x is greater than negative 7, okay? I want you to put it where the variable is on the left. That way, that symbol now is telling you the way you should graph it, okay? So that would be an open circle, and the greater than numbers, of course, are this way. So make sure you put the variable on the left, okay? I've seen a lot of addition and subtraction in the integer errors, okay? So be careful on your add and subtract with integers, and I'm just going to put this up here, okay? So if you've got like negative 4 and negative 16, I just want to remind you that if you got negative 4 and negative 16, those are the same. So we want to add them together, and that would be negative 20. So don't forget, if they've got the same sign, you add them together. If you had this, okay, you got negative 8 and 12, okay, just subtract them and take the sign of the bigger number. So basically that's like 12 minus 8, so that would be 4. And if you had this, okay, you would subtract them, okay, and take the sign of the bigger number because they're different signs, and that would be negative 6. So just be careful. Same sign, you add them together. If you got different signs, you subtract them, take the sign of the bigger number, okay? All right, and the third thing I want to review with you is, okay, when to switch or not to switch, okay? So switch, okay, so I'll show you. So if you're doing this, you've got, let's say you're going 15 is less than negative 3x, okay? If you divide by negative 3 on both sides, that's when you want to switch, okay? So you would switch it on that one. All right, and let's say you got this, n divided by negative 4 is less than or equal to 12. All right, so you'd multiply by negative 4 over 1 here, and you'd multiply by negative 4 over 1 over here. So when you multiply both sides by negative 4 here, you would switch that, and that would be n is greater than or equal to negative 48, okay? So if you divide by negative on both sides, you need to switch it. If you multiply by negative on both sides, you need to switch it. Okay, so now that we got some of those things out of the way, I'll start out with this. I am going to have you start typing in your answers, okay? So on the keyboard, of course, there is a less than and there is a greater than, okay? So when you've got less than, you're just going to type in the less than. When you've got greater than, you're just going to type in the greater than. Now there is not a less than or equal to or greater than or equal to, so we're going to have to change and adjust because I actually want you to start typing in some answers. So for less than or equal to, I want you to type it in this way. Okay, we're going to put the less than sign and then you're going to put the equal sign right after it. So we're just going to put those back to back. All right, for greater than or equal to, we are going to go to, we're just going to type
those two signs back to back. Alright, so for less than or equal to, you're going to type the less than symbol and then the equal sign right after it, no space. Okay, no space. And then for greater than or equal to, put the greater than sign and the equal right after it, again with no space. And I'll try to make sure I talk through that here on some of these that we're going to work together. Okay, so let's work some of these. You're going to be doing some of these questions that have now got
some of the ones we've already worked, and we'll talk about a couple of these on here. But some of these are going to have variables on both sides, like that one and that one and that one there. So there's a couple of different ones that have variables on both sides, that one also. So we're going to talk a little bit about that today. So that's taking it up a next notch, okay? So for number 5 down here, let's see if we can't do some that have variables on both sides. Variables on both sides. So again, this should look familiar. All right, because we've done this before with equations, so I just want to remind you, okay, we're going to get all the variable stuff on one side and all the constants on the other, okay? So we're going to do a little shifting. Shift. That is shift, people. S-H-I-F-T. Shift. Shift variables to one side and constants to the other. So make sure you're taking good notes here, okay? Make sure you're taking good notes. I know some of you have been sending me some of you good notes pictures, and I appreciate that. So I'm going to do one of these here to help you out, to help you get started. I'm actually got the paper. You're looking
at the PDF or whatever. Alright, this is number 6. So appreciate you watching the video. Hey, here's a little gold nugget for you, alright? Go and work one of the problems off the page. There you go. Okay. So we got that. Of course, as you guys may figure, we're probably getting close to having a little quiz on this jazz. So be sharpening up your skills here. Okay. So I see I've got 7G and 4G here. Okay. So my smart move would be to subtract 4G from both sides first. Okay. So that's going to leave me with a positive thing over here on this side. So I'm going to do minus 4G on the right. I'm going to go minus 4G on the left. Of course, these 4Gs over here are going to cancel out, man. They make a zero pair, all right? They cancel out. And then 7G minus 4G is 3G. That's 3G plus 18 is less than 10. All right? Now, I'm down to a two-step equation, right? So now, again, I want to get rid of the constant and slide it over here. So that's going to be a minus 18 on the left and a minus 18 on the right. Okay, these 18s over here, of course, a zero pair. 10 minus 18. Now remember what we were talking about up there earlier. These are different signs. So I'm going to subtract them and take the sign of the bigger number. So that's going to be a negative 8. And I'm just going to bring this down. So now I've got 3G is less than negative 8. Now, of course, 3 is not going to go in there exactly perfect. So we're going to have a fractional answer. So I'm going to divide by 3 on this side, divide by 3 on this side. So those will cancel out. So since I did not divide by negative here. This is dividing by positive because there's a positive number in front of the G. I don't have to switch the symbol. So it's G is less than negative. Let's see, that goes in there twice. 2 2/3. Okay, so that would be G is less than negative 2 2/3. All right, so you put something in there like that. If you change it to a decimal, of course, that would be negative 2.66 or something like that if you went to the hundredths place. Of course, that would be a repeating decimal, but you can't put that in on the computer like that. So, of course, you can just type that one in on the computer because there is just a less than on there. So let's just go ahead and round it to the nearest tenths place. What do you say? So when we type that in, let's just type it in as G is less than negative 2.7. All right, so we would just type that in there. And we're going to round it again. We would just round it to the nearest tenths place. 2.7 is going, that's negative 2.7. So type all that in, no spaces. Okay? All right, so let's go try another one. Let's see. I'll take one off of this page. All right, so we got some on this paper too. Okay. I'll take one of these, a little bit easier ones at the top, and then we'll do another one that's a little bit harder down there. But before we do that, guess what? It's time for the riddle of the day, people. Yes, the riddle of the day. All right, another love question today, folks. All right, I'm glad to be back with you. Hope you're well. Hope you're safe. Hope you're warm and healthy and happy and smart and all that good stuff. All right, so what happened when the man fell in love with his garden? All right, so today's a food question. All right, I like my vegetables. I like my lettuce and tomato and carrots.
I'm not much on onion though. I don't know if you like onions or not, but for me, I don't like onions. It makes me breath smell bad, and my wife don't want to kiss me, so I stay away from the onions. Not good for the kissing. All right, but what happened when the man fell in love with his garden is today's riddle of the day. So if you know what happened when he fell in love with his garden, you know what to do. Email me back with a little answer to the riddle of the day. Until next time, ciao for now, baby. All right. Okay, peeps. Let's take a look here and let's try another one of these little jokers that is a little bit harder. So this time we're going to step it up a notch and go up to one like this. All right, so now we're going to take it up to even a little more work here, a little more multi-step action. Okay, so as you can see in this particular problem, we've got a little distributive property to do. Okay, so right here we are going to, of course, do the distributive property. So I'm going to draw my little arrows out here. Okay, so 8 times 2, of course, would give me 16. That's 8 times 2, 16. And then 8 times x, of course, right there. And that would just give me 8x. Then I'll just copy down this other stuff over here is less than or equal to 3x minus 9. Again, the easy way, okay, to avoid getting a negative variable here, okay, I'm going to subtract 3x from both sides. I'll go ahead and put my little train tracks down. I'll try to speed this up a little bit because I do want to try to do one more before we shut it down here for today. All right, so I'm going to subtract 3x from both sides. These 3x's, of course, are going to cancel out 0 pair. 8x minus 3x, of course, gives you 5x, and that would be 16 plus 5x is less than or equal to, and don't forget now that's, if you do additive inverse to that, that's negative 9 over here, okay? All right, now I want to subtract 16 from both sides because that's my constant. Remember, you want to get rid of the constant first, so minus 16 and minus 16. Of course, those zero out, make a 0 pair. Everybody see that okay? So 16's cancel out. Now I've got a negative 9 and a negative 16. Those are the same sign, so you just add them up together, and now of course that's negative 25. So now I've got 5x is less than or equal to negative 25. That number in front of the x is positive, so I do not need to positive in both spots. I'm dividing by positive, so 5 divided by 5 is 1. That's going to stay less than or equal to, and negative 25 divided by a positive 5, a negative divided by a positive is a negative 5. Okay, and again, if you graphed it, of course, that would be a closed circle going to the left. I'm just trying to speed this up so you would know it would be, put your closed circle right there on negative 5, shaded in going to the left. All right, let's do one more that's just a hair tougher. Okay, just going to go just a little bit harder than that. This time we're going to do one that's got distributive property on both sides. Let's see, let's try this one. We got 7, and then we've got 2 plus 2x is greater than or equal to, oh, I didn't talk about that. Okay, if you type it in, again, to type in the answer, let me go back and do that. When we type that in, type in x, then type in the less than, and then the equal sign, just put them all back to back, and then negative 5, okay? Just type it in like that. Don't put any spaces in there, just hit x, less than, equal, negative 5, okay? That's the only way we can get that to work, so you got to hit the less than and the equal sign. All right, let's try this one. I'm sorry, I forgot about that. I got a little ahead of myself there. All right, over here on this side we got 4, and then you got negative x minus 10. All right, so here we go. Don't have any subtract signs here. Do have a subtract sign over here, so I'm going to go ahead and take this subtract sign right here. I'm going to do a little additive inverse to that. And off we go. 7 times 2 is 14. 7 times 2x is 4x. Keep the sign the same, which is greater than or equal to. 4 times negative x would be negative 4x. 4 times negative 10 is negative 40. All right, train tracks. I'm going to add 4x to both sides, so I add 4x to the right, which means I got to add 4x to the left. Of course, these 4x's right here make a 0 pair. 4 plus 4 is 8x. And I've got 14 plus 8x is greater than or equal to, again, make sure you bring the negative sign down with that. That's negative 40. All right, got to get rid of the constant, so you subtract 14 on the left, subtract 14 on the right. These 14s make a 0 pair. A negative plus a negative, okay, they've got the same sign. You want to add them together. That would be negative 54. and you just keep your sign there, which again is greater than or equal to. Last step, of course, is divide by 8. Okay. Is that right? Did I do something wrong? Oh, that was supposed to be 14x. I bet. I'm like, something's not right there. So that's 14x, which is going to mean that's 18x. I'm sorry. All right, so 7 times 2 is 14x. 14x plus the 4x gives you 18x. Now we're going to divide by 18 on both sides. Okay, sorry about that. Instead of that being 8x, it's supposed to be 14x. Glad I caught that. And then, of course, since we are not dividing by negative, we don't need to switch the symbol. Okay, and negative 54 divided by positive 18 would be negative 3. So when you type it in, I want you to type in x, then the greater than, then the equal to, negative 3. You do not need to put any spaces in there for any of that. Okay? Alright. I did it as fast as I could. Sorry, I was getting a little sloppy there on that last one. Okay? So just remember, 7 times 2 is 14. 7 times 2 again is 14. Okay? I messed that up. 14 plus 4 is 18. And a negative divided by a positive is a negative. Type in x is greater than and the equal sign, negative 3. Okay? Don't put any spaces in there. Alright. Hope that helps you out. Okay? Make sure you put the variable on the left. Be careful with your adding and subtracting integers, and only switch if you multiply or divide by a negative. Okay? Only switch if you multiply or divide by a negative. If you got any questions, email me and let me know. Quiz is coming up here, so be careful. Be careful. Make sure you type in your stuff right. Don't put any spaces in there, okay? No spaces. Just type it all in there together. Jam it all together. All right? Until next time, peace!